You know if the sound is working, trying something new today. Will Social Security or Security ruin your retirement? For a lot of people, it absolutely will. And I'm making this video for a couple of reasons. Recently, the Social Security Administration announced a few key changes to the program. One of them is trying to deal with the fact that it becomes insolvent in 2033. Right now, my entire life I've been hearing that the Social Security program is going to be failing before people use it. So they'll probably figure out a way to push that back. But at some point, it won't be pushed back. An insolvent doesn't mean that it just fails and nobody gets their payments anymore. They're looking at paying out 79% is what the insolvency will be in 2033. So if you get $1,000 a month in Social Security, it will be dropped down to $790. Loose math. I'm sure it'll be changed by the time 2033 gets here because that's a million years from now and it's never going to impact any of us. The second reason I'm making this video is for a friend of mine today. It's his birthday and he's turning 30. And I want somebody that is turning 30 to start thinking about their money. So Jonathan, pay attention. I also recently turned 54. My name is Dion. I retired in 2022 at the age of 52. Been retired for 2 years now. And the solution to the problem, will Social Security ruin your retirement, was factored in to me retiring. The first thing I want you to do is understand, why does Social Security exist in the first place? Right? As a society, we think, well, we want to take care of our elders, and that's actually not why it exists. Hello, Navy base. What time is it? They do something at 8 o'clock in the morning? Interesting. The Marine in me wants to lock up and face the flag every day. I got to start timing these better. I'm not on post or active duty anymore. Threw off the Emperor's groove every morning. Didn't know that was there when I bought the place. Social Security exists because of young people, not because of old people. Right? So it was the 18th century, in Germany, and the young people weren't able to find jobs because too many older people were working well past their prime. And so Otto von Bismarck, which I only remember because you can't sink the Bismarck, created a social program to basically bribe people into leaving the workforce. A form of Social Security, which then started in the United States 50, 60 years later. And the idea is, if we get older people out of the workforce, we leave openings for younger people to then go into the workforce. And then you have different government agencies that basically steal from the money that we contribute to Social Security every paycheck, right? And Social Security is something that you pay into while you're working. And some people think, well, I'll be an entrepreneur, so I don't have a W-2 and I don't have a paycheck. Well, now you're going to pay twice, right? It's 6-point-something% coming out of your paychecks. But if you're self-employed, you pay both employer and employee side of Social Security to then hopefully get it paid back out to you when you hit the age where you can collect it. But people have been taking Social Security and using it for other things, and there are more people retiring now than people joining the workforce. So we don't have enough money going into the program for it to be solvent by a certain point in time. And yes, they can change the tax structure. They can tax more. They can remove the upper cap, which has been raised every year for the last decade or so. But beyond a certain point, you are not taxed into Social Security, the idea being you're not going to benefit from it. So they can make all kinds of changes to try to make it not be impacted by becoming insolvent. So here's a couple of things I want you to think about. Most people, I want to say the majority, but it's not quite the majority. It's 48% of people are literally counting on Social Security for their retirement, right? 48% of Americans between the age of 55 and 65. So I'm not talking about those people like my friend Jonathan turning 30. I'm talking about those people that are 55 to 65, basically at retirement age, have zero saved for retirement. Nothing, not a penny. Those are people that are saying, Social Security will take care of me. I probably won't have to be a Walmart door greeter when I'm 84. or they're hoping that they run out of life before they run out of money. Here's the way I look at Social Security, and the way I'm hoping that you can look at it too. Now, this is if you're going to plan on retiring or retiring early like I did. Now, hopefully some of us out there are retiring much earlier than I did. I didn't start saving for investing or even thinking about money until I was 40. And I started from a pretty bad position, right? And I know this is when everybody says, I'm so poor, it's so hard now. I was 40, a single parent with 3 kids, making $17 an hour teaching people how to drive trucks after getting laid off from law enforcement and after finding out about $89,000 in bad debt in my name I didn't know existed until the divorce. So, other than a major health concern, you're probably in a better position than I was, or the same type of position. So, reaching financial freedom will take at least a decade. Yes, some people can do it faster, but if you plan on it taking a decade, you're going to have a lot less problems. The most important thing you can do with Social Security is make it not matter. If you start and grow a business, now this is one of the ways that most people build a really good retirement. You start and grow a business where the income from the business, and it is large enough to where you have somebody else running the day-to-day, supports your lifestyle, no matter what your age is or how much work you can contribute to the business. Or some people start and grow a business, and then when they get closer to retirement age, they sell it and live off the gains. Then there are people who choose the stock method. You can invest in index stocks, mutual funds. Follow someone like Joe Kuhn here on YouTube. It's Kuhn. He invested using the 4% rule, and he has a really brilliant method of using the buckets method to be able to retire even into a recession with a really reasonable percentage of success. The 4% rule, now pay attention, this is very important, does not factor in Social Security, right? If you are investing to reach a certain amount invested in stocks to support your life with that 4% rule, the idea being the average gain in stocks over a long enough track record is 10%. That gives you enough to replenish the 4% you're taking out, cover the usual 3% inflation every year, and cover the taxes you're paying on the money you take out. You're going to invest enough with the 4% rule to where Social Security, if anything, is icing on the cake, which is how I looked at it. I didn't invest in stocks. I had a shorter time frame, and I didn't make enough money to invest a significant amount because, yes, while compound interest helps stocks, the amount you invest also has a big impact. I invested in buy and hold real estate over a decade. I put $320,000 to work. So, yes, it started slow. My first duplex I purchased after saving $28,000 over 2 years. So, if you're starting today, you're not going to buy a duplex tomorrow. It's going to take you a couple of years to save the down payment. But that first duplex led to the next. You're not going to get the 10th unless you get that first. And so, a decade of investing, putting down $320,000, created an income where in 2022, it was a little over $204,000 in profit. In 2023, now that my taxes are done, I can say this with confidence, it was just under $240,000 in profit. That after taxes, after setting aside for future repairs and maintenance, this is with a small rental portfolio of now 18 rental units. So it doesn't take hundreds, it just took a decade of focus and dedication to acquire these cash flowing assets to make work optional. I live on around 40 to 60,000, depending on how much I want to spend and goof off in a year. So the 200 coming in, plus the money I set aside to repair and maintain the portfolio, which is separate from my money to live on, is more than I need. That does 2 things. First, it benefits from inflation, right? Thank you, Bidenomics. You have made me a multi-millionaire. In 2020, when I purchased my fourplex, my net worth passed $1 million. Since 2020, while only adding a couple of properties, my net worth has passed $3 million because of inflation. And inflation, which impacts cash flowing assets positively, has increased my cash flow. So I actually have more money each month to figure out how to spend in retirement than struggle with less. Now, at some point, if they figure out the Social Security problem when I hit 62 in 2032, even if it goes insolvent, I won't be impacted. The other thing that I want to do to make Social Security not matter is make sure you're structuring your life around not working. And so the first thing we want to do is get rid of worse debt. Take all of your debt and look at it. There's 3 types. You have worse debt, bad debt, and good debt. Worse debt is anything with an adjustable rate, a loan reevaluation period, a balloon payment, or with a really high interest rate. That's worse debt. Bad debt is anything that costs you more than it generates. So, car payments, credit cards, student loans. These are debts that you want to tackle and get rid of before you retire early or retire. Good debt, I don't want you to pay off. I retired with $1.8 million in debt and wish I had more. The good debt is what set me free because of a few things. I have levered appreciation. I am benefiting from inflation. I have levered depreciation. With almost $240,000 in profit, I didn't have to pay a penny in rental income tax, and I carried forward a loss to help me offset the income that I'm going to make next year. Get rid of the bad toxic debt. Make sure you have only good debt that benefits from inflation. Your business could benefit from inflation if it's a service provider or you're providing something that is going to go up in price with inflation, because remember, those increased costs are what causes inflation, like rents going up. And the last thing I want to do when we look at debt is maybe rebalance it. While I was in growth mode and I was growing this portfolio to set me free so I can escape the W-2 9-to-5 rat race, I wanted about 70% loan to value. So if I had $1 million in property, I wanted $700,000 in debt. That $300,000 in equity would be my cushion so I could exit if I needed to. I could handle rents decreasing, which they've never done in my lifetime, or since we've actually started tracking the data, which, yes, was before I was born. But when I retired and I gave up that drug that kills our dreams, the paycheck, I rebalanced my debt to where I wanted to maintain about 50% loan to value to give myself a safer position. I do not want my good debt paid off. Paying off a mortgage cost me $1 million. Paying off my debt would mean I'm only gaining appreciation on what I've invested, and I'm only able to depreciate the amount that I've invested, things that I don't want. I don't want to be over levered. But when we retire, I would restructure our debt so that we're not in that focused growth phase. I hope this video at least makes you think. The most important thing with Social Security is make it not matter. Because don't think, like most people do, that Social Security is there to help and protect our older people. It was created to help everybody by putting younger people to work. And now, because of our amazing government, it's probably going to go away someday, in phases, in steps, and in increments. It is your job to protect your future. And I wish I remember the guy's name because I'd give him credit for it, but he says at the end of every one of his videos, this is not my catchphrase, this is someone else's. The best person to take care of the older you is the younger you.